Please bow your head and join me in prayer. God of all power and glory, we gather today in joy for the graduation and this momentous occasion for the class of Space Test Fundamental graduates in the class of TPS STF 21-2. We're grateful for each guardian and soldier who is committed to being a space test professional and defender of our freedoms that we enjoy every single day. We ask thee to watch over each student and their families as they go forward to their new adventures, and that they will be able to find success and achieve their goals throughout their careers. We thank thee for each instructor, each leader, and all those that have helped STF 21-2, especially their families, who have contributed to each student's individual and collective successes throughout their careers. We ask you to please bless those that are in harm's way, that are defending our nation's freedom, that they may be able to be protected, and that we'll be able to help them as we go forward in our careers. We ask you to please bless each of us, that we'll be able to go forward and defend those freedoms that we enjoy. Father, we ask thee and we thank thee for all these many blessings, and we say these things in thy name. Amen.
Thank you, Captain Fleshman. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. I would like to start by recognizing a few of our distinguished guests with us here today. From the United States Space Force, Colonel Peter Flores, Commander of Space Training and Readiness Delta, Provisional. Colonel Todd Moore, Task Force Deputy of Space Training and Readiness Command, Field Command. Colonel Mark Bigley, the Director of Component Plans and Readiness from Space Operations Command. Colonel Michael Hopkins, Astronaut, National Aeronautics and Space Administration. From the Air Force Operational Test and Evaluation Center, Colonel Ramiro Riojas, Commander, Space Test and Readiness Delta, Provisional, Detachment 4. From the Space and Missile Systems Center, Colonel Brian Gamble, Senior Material Leader, Multi-Domain Awareness, Division Portfolio Architect. From the Air Force Test Center, Major General Evan Durteen, Commander. From the 412th Test Wing, Brigadier General Matthew Heiger, Commander. From the 412th Operations Group, Colonel Grant Mizell, Commander. From the United States Test Pilot School, Mr. David Van Hoy, Technical Director. Dr. Andrew Freeborn, Director of Special Programs and Space Test Fundamentals Course Director. Please have a round of applause for all of our distinguished guests. I would also like to extend a very warm welcome to all the family members attending today and to all the visiting commanders and friends of Class 21-2 who are watching this ceremony virtually. A special thank you, of course, to the people who organized this event, the graduation committee from 21-2 and the base multimedia team. Thank you. As many of you know, the development of the Space Test Fundamentals course was a multi-year effort, and we are excited to continue to develop and evolve the course to meet the United States Space Force needs, to produce adaptive, critical thinking test professionals to conduct full spectrum test and evaluation of space weapon systems. The students have completed a very challenging 3 months, and this morning is the culmination of their efforts. Thank you all for joining us today in person and virtually to recognize their events. Major Justin Fisk will now join me on stage to announce the guest speaker for Class 21-2.
Thank you, Colonel Pabon. It is an honor to get to introduce the guest speaker for today's graduation event. Colonel Michael Hopkins was selected by NASA as an astronaut in 2009. He most recently served as commander of the Crew 1 SpaceX Crew Dragon named Resilience, which landed on May 2nd, 2021. It was the first post-certification mission of SpaceX's Crew Dragon spacecraft, the second crewed flight for that vehicle, and his second long-duration mission aboard the International Space Station. Colonel Hopkins has participated in 5 spacewalks and spent a total of 333 days in space. His crew broke the American crewed spacecraft mission duration record set by the first Skylab crew in 1974 and was the first night splashdown of a U.S. spacecraft since Apollo 8 in 1968. Colonel Hopkins had the privilege of becoming the first Space Force astronaut living in space and serving aboard the International Space Station when he was sworn into the Space Force by General Raymond on December 18, 2020. Currently, he supports International Space Station operations at the Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. Ladies and gentlemen, Colonel Michael Hopkins.
Okay, thank you, Justin. I'm going to, can everybody hear me okay? Okay, thanks for the introduction. Thank you for the invitation. Better? Oh, wow, loud. Okay, so let's start off with congratulations. I think it's appropriate. I think it's deserved, justified. You are the second Space Test Fundamentals class to graduate. And so when you look at your numbers and you take the previous class, there's 32 of you that have graduated from this course. And so last night I kind of started to go through the numbers because 32, that makes you a pretty rare commodity. And so don't hold me to these exact numbers, but I think they'll help get the idea across, help put things maybe in perspective. So down the road, the Test Pilot School long course, over the years, they've graduated something over 3,000 of students from that long course. So you guys are certainly more rare than the graduates from the long course. You look at human spaceflight, there's been 567 people have gone into space. Now, there's a little bit of debate on that right now when you look at the accomplishments of Richard Branson and Jeff Bezos. And so those numbers, so it's 560-ish people have gone into space. And so you guys are more rare than anybody that's gone into space as well. If you dig a little deeper into that, from the U.S. side, U.S. astronauts, there's about 330 of us that have gone into space. So you are more unique than me. And then I wanted to take it even a little bit further. I think we all know there's been 46 presidents of the United States. So you're more unique than a president of the United States. And then one of my favorite, and the reason this one's my favorite is because she's been your boss for the last 3 months. There's been 45 commandants of the Test Pilot School. So you guys are more unique than the commandant. So I say all that a little bit in joke and jest, because you're probably the graduates of the long course are probably sitting there saying, yeah, but you're comparing apples and oranges. But I'm also a little bit serious as well, because you now have a unique talent set, a unique skill set, unique not only for the Space Force and the Army, but for the U.S. military as a whole, and also really around the world. Now, when you look at your individual jobs in the Space Force or in the Army, that's in itself not necessarily unique. You've got that job, you've got people before you that were doing that job, and you're going to have people after you that are going to be doing that job. And certainly, development and operational testing is not unique here at Edwards. That's been around for quite a long time. But when you take your backgrounds and you take these test fundamentals that you learned and you put them together, that results in a very unique cadre, a very small group of people that has an extremely important role to play not only for the Space Force but also for our nation. So as you go back to your units, don't ever lose sight of that. Don't ever underplay what you've accomplished by graduating from this course. Now, as I think about you going back to your unit, that brings me to the next point that I want to make, and that is your work's not done, not even close. You heard in my introduction that I got to go out on 5 spacewalks. And if you ever have an opportunity to watch a spacewalk on TV, I don't recommend it. It is very slow. My wife will attest to that. It's not the most exciting thing to watch and see. And part of the reason for that is because it takes us 5.5 to 6 hours just to get our suit on, just to get our tools on, get into the airlock, get it depressed, and get the hatch open. And then we go out and we do our job. Then we go out and we repair or upgrade the space station. And so that's where you guys are right now. You've got your suits on, you've been given the tools, and today we're depressing the airlock and we're sending out the hatch to get to work. And so as you go back to your units, share the knowledge that you've gained with your colleagues. Take a look at your jobs and your duties, and take a look at the legacy systems that you operate on, and think back that if these test fundamentals that we've learned had been applied when these jobs or these vehicles were new, would they be different? There's probably going to be chances to work on some upgrades to some of your vehicles. So think about these test fundamentals that you've learned about, and maybe you can come up with a better solution because of that. Asking questions, that reminds me of the third point that I wanted to make. Yesterday, Dino asked me a question about the overview effect, if I had experienced the overview effect when I got up there, if this was something for real. And for those of you that aren't familiar with the overview effect, many astronauts will talk about the first time that they got to space and they looked out and they saw and that at that moment there was like this light bulb going off, this clarity, like they felt like they understood, they had the answers. Because when you look down at the Earth and you see just how fragile it is, you see this very thin atmosphere that's keeping us all alive, and you look down and you don't see borders, right? And so you realize that as people, we're all connected together and with this planet. And all of those things are true. They are absolutely true. But did I experience that when I first looked out the window of my capsule? And that was back in 2013 on the Soyuz. And my answer is no. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Primarily because there's a lot going on at that point in time. You've just rode a rocket. Close to 1 million pounds of explosives have taken you up into space in a time period of about 9 minutes. So you're pretty hyped at that point. You're in microgravity, and so your body is experiencing that for the first time. And for me, I felt like I was falling. So if we were all to go up on top of this theater and jump off, that kind of rushing sensation that you get when you jump off something like that, that's what it felt like. So I got all that going on. There's new noises, there's new smells. I've got duties to do. And so no, when I looked out the window, I couldn't process something that deep, something that big about what the overview effect, if you will. But fortunately, I was up there for close to a year. I spent close to a year in space, and so that offered opportunities to spend some time looking out the window and thinking about that overview effect. And what I realized after all of that time is that it didn't give me clarity. It didn't give me answers looking down at the Earth like that. It actually generated more questions. Because as I'm looking down at the Earth and I'm seeing these amazing landscapes, and I'm saying, wow, it would be fantastic to go there, to visit there. And I realize I don't know anything about the people that live there, the cultures. I don't know anything about what it's like to walk there. And so for me, looking down at the Earth just generated more questions. And so for you that just graduated from the Space Test Fundamentals course, I hope that's your overview effect as well. I hope when you go back to your units, instead of feeling like you're going back with all the answers, you're going back with more questions. You're going back and looking at how can I innovate? How can I take what I've learned from my instructors here? How can I take all of this knowledge that over 60 plus years here has been built up in test, and how can I take that and find new ways to apply that for space? Now, in closing, I want to kind of go back to where we started. And I talked about how unique you are, how the fact that you're just the second class to graduate from this course. And so there's very few of you that have graduated from the Space Test Fundamentals course. But even looking bigger, there's very few of you that have been members of the Space Force. And so you have an opportunity here not only to help establish the culture of the course, but you have an opportunity here to help establish the culture of something much bigger, and that's a new service. That's the United States Space Force. Now, along with culture, oftentimes you think about traditions. And so I have to say, as the second class, I'm very happy to see that you guys have been out there trying to set some of those new traditions. Some of the generals here may not be real happy with the rock. I thought it was fantastic. I thought it looked great, and I thought it is starting down that path of getting some of that pride, some of that spirit that you see down at the schoolhouse for the folks that are going through the long course. Now, I caution you, though, sometimes traditions don't stick. And so as the second crew that got to launch on these commercial vehicles on SpaceX Crew Dragon, as the second crew that got to do that from Florida, and we haven't done that in quite a while, we kind of felt an obligation to try and set some traditions as well. And one of those traditions, 3 of us have flown on Soyuz. And so there was one of those traditions that we thought were pretty neat from our Soyuz experience, and so we wanted to bring that back. And and what that was, in Baikonur, on launch day, when you're leaving the crew quarters and you're getting ready to get on the bus to go out to where you put on your suits and then go out to the launch vehicle, you sign the door of the crew quarters where you've been staying. And so you sign it and you date it. And it's really a neat tradition because the doors are covered in names of cosmonauts and astronauts that have stayed in that room before you and gone on to space. And so we thought, hey, this would be a great tradition to start at crew quarters down at the Kennedy Space Flight Center. So on launch day last November, myself and my crewmates, right before we were handed over by NASA to SpaceX to get us into our suits, we signed our doors. We're all smiling, taking pictures, loved it. And we were like, oh, we can't wait. 5 years from now, we're going to come back and we're going to see who else stayed in our rooms, and we're the first. It's really cool. So we go to space, have a great 6-month mission, very successful 6-month mission, come back, splash down. And I was talking to the astronaut that was in charge. We call him the VIT office, Vehicle Integration Test Office. But basically, they're the astronaut that's there and kind of responsible for us when we're getting ready to launch. And so he's responsible for the crew quarters there. And I was sitting talking to him, and he just kind of casually brings up that, we sanded your names off the door. Because the powers that be decided that wasn't a tradition that they wanted to keep. And that's okay, because the people in charge sometimes have to make decisions and look at things in ways that we don't have an opportunity to do. So if your traditions, all of the ones that maybe you guys have tried to start for the Space Test Fundamental course, if they all don't stick, that's okay. At least you have that for your class, and you can cherish that memory for a long time. But let's go back now to cultures and the bigger Space Force culture. 30 years from now, if we look back and we don't like what the Space Force has become, if we're not proud to sit there and say I'm a guardian, or for our Army brethren here, if you're not proud to say, yeah, I work very closely with the Space Force and I'm a guardian, then that's on us. Because we have an opportunity here to help establish that culture. And if you go talk to the pilots and the engineers that are going through the long course right now, I think all of them would say, as a pilot or an engineer, one of the things you want is an opportunity to be on the first flight of the vehicle. I mean, everybody dreams of that. And unfortunately, it doesn't happen that often. In fact, it happens very rarely these days. It's not the 40s and 50s like it was, where it was happening all the time. This is your first flight opportunity. And so help make the Space Test Fundamentals course, help make the Space Force something that we can all be proud of in the future. Thank you.
seconds. Thank you for that. On behalf of Space Test Fundamentals, Class 21-2, we would like to present you with our class patch as a token of our appreciation. Yes, sir. Sir, here's your notebook. Thank you.
I would now like to invite Major Justin Fisk to deliver his class address. As the class leader, he's responsible for leading from within, for being that conduit of information between the class and us at the Test Pilot School leadership. So, Major Fisk, first of all, on behalf of your classmates and the entire TPS staff, thank you for everything you did for the last 3 months. It was a little bit above and beyond, and we are greatly appreciative. Over to you.
Thank you, Colonel Pabon. Good morning, distinguished visitors, guests, faculty, staff, family, friends, my fellow 21-2 toasters, and those joining us virtually for this occasion. I would like to start my address with a short video looking back at some of the experiences this course offered us and some of the fun we had along the way. Please roll the video. For those of you who know me or have been around me for a while, you know I tend to be a man of few words, so I'll try and do my best to keep this address short and sweet. First, I'd like to thank Colonel Sabrina Poco Pabon, Commandant of the Test Pilot School here at Edwards, for her support and guidance and for ensuring our quality of life needs were always taken care of. I also want to thank the Space Test Fundamentals Course Director, Andy Sonic Freeborn, and the Deputy Course Director, who returned after graduating as part of the 21-1 class, Austin Dino Cooner, for their hard work and dedication to the course, for ensuring that we had everything that we needed to be successful, and for helping us to try and get the most out of the course as we went through it. Finally, I'd like to thank our instructors throughout the course, Rusty Lowry, Ken Cameron, Tom Post, Cody Ali, Aaron Hambrick, and Alan Blocker for taking the time to teach us the course material, facilitate our understanding, and more importantly, put up with all of our questions. The faculty and staff also had the privilege of facing our blunt and often unsolicited feedback, which I know they all thoroughly enjoyed. Sorry, Tom. I would like to say to all of these individuals, thank you. Thank you for doing your part to help get this course off of the ground and running and on the path to greatness. Each of my classmates here today were hand-selected to participate in this 3-month program that leverages United States Air Force Test Pilot School expertise and is designed to provide hands-on training in flight test fundamentals, systems test, space science application, advanced space systems test and evaluation, and a broad exposure to the foremost centers of space operations and testing. Ultimately, this course enables the United States Space Force to enhance its test and evaluation mission and multiply its ability to deliver combat-ready space forces. As a senior ranking officer, I had the privilege of being the class leader for 21-2, and it has been an honor. Please do not let the -2 in our class number fool you. As you saw in the video, we like to point out to everyone everywhere we go that we're the first real production class. The first class doesn't count. In all seriousness, though, the first STF class helped lay the foundation for our class, as we have hopefully helped shape and mold the foundation for the next class, and so on. All of us, past, present, and future, have a key role in the evolution of this course in order to take it from 0 to infinity. Some of our most cherished memories of this course will include the in-depth and at times contested discussions with one another in class, drawing on our wide variety of backgrounds and experiences to help each other learn, as well as our class field trip in which we experienced superb interaction and hands-on experiences with both Air Force and Space Force test units here in California and in Colorado, as well as NASA down in Texas. These experiences not only reinforced our learning in the course, but continued the process of shaping our thoughts and shifting our mindset towards that of a seasoned tester. Although our class experienced both challenges and triumphs during the program, we also never lost sight of our role in shaping what is yet to come. As part of the Space Test Fundamentals course, it is our charge to continue to shape and develop not only the culture of the course, but the culture of future members that will go through it as well. Our chance to be part of something new, exciting, and impactful was never taken for granted. Test Pilot School has trained and educated the Air Force's test leaders for 75 years, and just as Class 21-1 did almost 5 months ago, today we continue to expand that legacy, creating bold, innovative leaders ready to be ambassadors and pioneers for the drive towards integrated test. To my fellow classmates, never forget that you were a part of this course. Years from now, when the course is the premier training course for all Space Force test cadre, do not forget that you had a role in its development. Now is the time to take what you have learned, continue to develop the mindset of a tester, and apply your knowledge and skills to help deliver cutting-edge space warfighting abilities to the field. Please keep in touch with one another, ask questions of each other, and seek help and advice from each other when it comes to all things test. Class of 21-2, you are now ready for trial. And remember, if you can test a toaster, you can test a satellite. Thank you.
Thank you, Major Fisk. Please join me in another round of applause for STF 21-2 class leader. The students of STF 21-2 come from a diverse background, representing nearly all space warfighting disciplines, from operators and engineers to intelligence and program managers, and ranging in rank from technical sergeant to major. In addition to the United States Space Force, they also represent the United States Army. Their coursework focused on test fundamentals, systems, and space sciences, and included an immersion field trip, as well as a capstone project. The students in Class 21-2 were selectively chosen to be a part of this first year of Space Test Fundamentals at the Test Pilot School. Their work here was twofold, as in addition to studying hard, the feedback they provided will help shape the future of the Space Test Education and Training Program. Please join me in a round of applause for the efforts of Class 21-2. And now, for the moment we've all been waiting for, we will now graduate the students of Class 21-2. Major General Durteen, Brigadier General Heiger, and Colonel Pabon, would you please join me on stage for the presentation of graduate plaques. Graduates, as your name is called, come to the stage to receive your graduate plaque. Technical Sergeant David Camarino. First Lieutenant Craig Carlson. Captain Christian Chavez. Captain Stephanie Coward. There it is. Captain Christopher Duncan. Captain John Fleshman. Major Aaron Hines. Captain Stephen Hauk. First Lieutenant Samuel Lauda. Captain Daniel Reynolds. Captain Christine Robinson. Captain James Ross. Captain Anna Rowe. Captain Robert Sonnenfeld. Captain Jeremiah Specht. Major Nicholas Tassos. And your class leader, Major Justin Fisk. Major General Durteen, Brigadier General Hager, and Colonel Pabon, thank you.